the glasses, the short hair, the turtleneck, the Harry Potter cup with Vietnamese coffee. Your local hipster seems to be back, and I'm okay with it. Hello everybody, I'm Michelle and I'm one of the two mythical unicorns on this channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite books of 2018. Now, I read quite a few books this year, and normally I would probably have like a top 10 or something like that. But I've chosen not to do that. I don't have a rank on them. I guess I felt like I haven't read books that are on my favorites list, like many of them this year. But books that I've enjoyed and that I've liked, because if you know me, you also know that if I don't like a book, I won't finish it. I'll DNF it and give it away. I don't see the point in struggling through. Some books are worth it to get through certain parts that are much slower, which you'll see me talk about in just a few moments, most likely. But I do that for very few authors that I have a lot of trust in. One in particular in this particular video. Yeah, I've actually DNF'd a lot of books this year, and I might actually do a video on that at some point, because I don't like struggling through books. I tend to try and not do that in general. I'd rather just stop reading. So with all of that said, let's get started. One of my most anticipated books of the year was Matt Haig, Notes on a Nervous Planet. Now, I read his first book, Reasons to Stay Alive, 1 or 2 years ago at this point, and I really loved it. So when I heard that Matt Haig was going to give out another book on the topic of anxiety and depression, but in a more general kind of way, I was really excited, and I was not disappointed. Matt Haig has a very particular way of talking about what is difficult in life, and he really can sort of put his finger on the pulse of what the issue is. If you're a person that is on social media a lot, or just in general are having troubles with anxiety in any capacity, you need to read this book. Another book that I was really excited about reading, because I hadn't read one of these books in ages, was Brandon Sanderson, The Alloy of Law, a Mistborn novel. Now, I've only read the trilogy, the first Mistborn trilogy, which you can see behind me here, before I started reading this one, when it comes to Brandon Sanderson. So I have loads of books to get through, but this is incredible. I fell in love with all of the characters in this book as well. Brandon Sanderson just has a way with plot and characters and world building that I've just not seen anyone else really do, and I can't see anyone else really topping the world that he's been able to build when it comes to in particular the Mistborn trilogy. I can't speak for the other series that he has written, but I am getting more and more excited about reading more of his books as I'm getting through them. So I would definitely recommend getting into this trilogy as well if you haven't. More coffee. This next one is actually poetry, and that is The Days Run Away Like Wild Horses Over the Hills by Charles Bukowski. Now, I haven't read much of Bukowski's poems or writing in general until these last 2 years possibly. A friend of mine actually recommended another book which is on my shelf. Notes from a Dirty Old Man, which I'm also currently reading and have been reading for quite a while. But when it comes to poetry and essays and things, I like to just sort of dip in and out when I feel like it. So it does take me a while to get through like a poetry collection or an essay collection, because just reading straight through as if it's a novel doesn't really sit well with me when it comes to that sort of stuff. So this has taken me a while, and I'm currently rereading it again and marking up poems that I've really liked. Bukowski has a very particular way of writing. He's very raw and very like rough around the edges, and he really doesn't sugarcoat anything. So if you like really pretty language and like gorgeous settings and things, Bukowski is not your guy. When it comes to everything else, though, he probably is. You have to think about the fact that Bukowski was, at the time of most of his writings, an old alcoholic. So he's everything is really bleak and like sad and tragic and things. But if you like that sort of stuff, Bukowski is definitely your man. Next on my list is actually an audiobook. Oh well, a book that I decided to listen to on Audible, and that's Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. Now, if you don't watch The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, you need to, and you need to start right this very second. Trevor Noah is an incredibly funny and articulate comedian from South Africa, and he released a autobiography, sort of retelling his life story essentially, and it's really fantastic, and you need to read it. And I would recommend listening to the audiobook. I like to do that when it's celebrities telling their stories and they're reading it themselves to you, so I would definitely recommend doing that. And some more coffee. The other audiobook that I loved this year was Becoming Michelle Obama. Yeah, I know, one of the many, but this was such a good read. Another one that I listened to on Audible because as I said, I like listening to people telling their own stories. So when celebrities read their own audiobooks, I always choose to listen to those instead. And this was incredible. I really loved it, and I would recommend anyone who wants to know anything about Michelle Obama to purchase this book in any kind of form that you would like to. The last book on my list will be no surprise to anyone that knows me. I have been waiting for this author to give out another book for quite a few years at this point. And that's Markus Zusak, and of course I'm talking about Bridge of Clay. This book has, I've known of the title for years and figured it would come out at some point soon, and it just wasn't soon. It kept getting pushed back, but I'm at the end of the day really happy because this book is incredible. If you like a slow burner that will take concentration and patience, this is definitely your book. This is about, well, Clay, who's actually building a bridge. It's told from the perspective of his older brother. So there's 5 brothers in the family. The father left many years ago, and Matthew, the older brother, is telling you the story, and he's telling them in different timelines and jumping around. It's sort of, I think, supposed to look like his memories. So some memories are really clear and really like described and detailed, and others are just a paragraph of a couple of sentences about their parents and how they met or something like that, and you just sort of have to piece everything together. Some parts are more slow than others, but at the end of the day, it's all worth it and it's really good. And I'm currently also rereading this as well. So those were some of my favorite books I've read in 2019. What are yours? Leave them in the comments below and I'll check them out and might put them on my to be read list. I think that's about it. Like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.